"You're sitting at the wrong table," the woman said softly, her voice trembling slightly, but not from anger. Her words made Daniel's stomach drop. The soft light of the restaurant glowed against her pale skin, and her calm gray eyes seemed to hold a quiet sadness that instantly made him forget to breathe. He glanced around, realizing with embarrassment that he had indeed sat down at the wrong table. But before he could stand and apologize, she smiled, a smile that would change his life forever. It had been 3 years since Daniel lost his wife in a car accident, leaving him to raise his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. Between juggling work, school pickups, and endless bills, he'd forgotten what companionship felt like. His friend Jake had finally set him up on a blind date, insisting it was time he met someone. "You can't live in grief forever," Jake had said. But grief had become Daniel's second skin that evening. Daniel arrived early, nervous and unsure. The restaurant was elegant, too elegant for someone like him, wearing a thrift store blazer and shoes polished just enough to hide their age. He checked the text from Jake again, table 14. "Her name's Emily." But as fate would have it, his phone buzzed with another message just as he reached the host's stand. Lily's school needed him to sign a form. Distracted, he didn't notice he'd walked straight to table 15 instead. "Sorry," Daniel stammered, adjusting his sleeves. "I thought it's okay," the woman interrupted gently. "You can stay, if you want." Her name was Claire. She looked to be around his age, maybe a little younger, wearing a soft blue dress that contrasted with the wheelchair she sat in. Her hands rested lightly on her lap, fingers slender but slightly stiff. She didn't hide her chair, she didn't try to make it invisible. She simply sat there, owning her presence with quiet grace. "I was expecting someone else," she said, her lips curving slightly. "But I guess they're not coming." Daniel hesitated. Something about her tone, the loneliness behind her composure, made him sit back down. "Then maybe we're both stood up," he said with a small smile. They laughed together, and what started as an awkward mistake soon became one of the most meaningful conversations of his life. Claire told him she used to be an artist before an accident left her paralyzed from the waist down 2 years ago. She didn't speak about it with pity, only with an honesty that drew Daniel in. He found himself opening up too, about Lily, his little girl who still left a space for her mother at the dinner table, and about how hard it was to be both dad and mom at once. Claire listened without judgment, her eyes warm and understanding. Hours passed like minutes. By the time Daniel realized how late it was, the restaurant had nearly emptied. He offered to help her to her car, but she chuckled. "I'm fine," she said, rolling forward with ease. "But thank you, Daniel." "Claire," he said softly, "I'm really glad I sat at the wrong table." She looked at him, her eyes glistening. Maybe it wasn't the wrong one after all. The next day, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about her. He texted her, just to thank you for the company, but she never replied. Weeks went by. Life resumed its chaotic rhythm, work, school, meals, but a part of him missed that accidental moment of peace he'd found with her. Then one evening, his company announced a new CEO's visit. The entire staff was buzzing with nervous energy. Daniel's company had recently been acquired by Harrington Holdings, one of the largest firms in the city. The name itself was enough to make anyone anxious. When the CEO arrived, Daniel froze. He recognized her instantly. It was Claire, but she wasn't the woman in the soft blue dress he'd met that night. Sitting in her sleek wheelchair, dressed in a sharp suit, surrounded by assistants, she exuded authority and confidence. Their eyes met across the conference room, and for a brief second, she smiled, subtly, like she was remembering too. After the meeting, she asked to see him privately. "I didn't reply because I didn't want you to feel sorry for me," Claire said. "Most people treat me differently once they find out who I am or what I've lost. I didn't want to ruin something genuine." Daniel shook his head. "I didn't feel sorry for you, Claire. I admired you." Her lips trembled slightly, the mask of professionalism slipping for a moment. "Do you still?" she whispered. He nodded. "Even more now." Over the following weeks, their connection grew again, quietly, naturally. Claire began visiting Daniel's small apartment, helping Lily with art projects, sharing stories from her world of business and courage. Lily adored her instantly, calling her Miss Claire and showing her every drawing she made. For the first time in years, Daniel felt warmth returning to his home. And for the first time since her accident, Claire felt like she belonged outside her father's protective shadow. She confessed that her father, the real CEO of Harrington Holdings, had been planning to retire, and that night, she was to take over his position. That was the dinner she was supposed to attend the night Daniel mistakenly sat at her table. "I wasn't supposed to meet you," she said one evening, her voice breaking. But maybe God had a different plan. Then came the moment that tested them both. One rainy night, Claire's father showed up at Daniel's apartment unannounced. "You're a good man," he told Daniel sternly, "but Claire deserves a world without limits. Don't hold her back." Daniel stood silent, torn between his heart and his pride. "She's the one who gives me strength, sir," he said finally. "Not the other way around." A week later, Claire invited Daniel and Lily to her company's annual gala. As she rolled onto the stage to give her speech, her voice trembled with emotion. "I once thought I lost everything," she said to the audience. "My art, my freedom, my confidence. But then I met someone who reminded me that love doesn't see limits, it gives wings where others see wheels." Then she turned toward Daniel and smiled. Sometimes, the wrong table leads you to the right person. The crowd erupted in applause, but Daniel only saw her, his accidental date, the woman who taught him that love finds its way through mistakes, scars, and second chances. Later that night, as they stood together outside beneath the soft glow of city lights, Claire reached for his hand. "Do you still think you sat at the wrong table?" she asked teasingly. He smiled, pulling her closer. "No," he whispered. "It was exactly where I was meant to be." And for the first time in a long while, both of them believed it. Moral: sometimes life's mistakes are divine misdirections. The wrong table, the wrong moment, the wrong path, they often lead us exactly where our hearts are meant to go.